Hey, what's up guys, Totallydubbed here, and today I'm doing a video review on the Acer Predator XB241H. Now this monitor is feature packed. It has a 24-inch Full HD display, it has a TN panel, NVIDIA G-Sync, and runs at 180Hz overclocked with a 1 millisecond response time. Now, before getting into all the features, I want to talk about price and its competitors. It can be found for £365 on Amazon.co.uk and on Amazon USA for $340. I know, damn you USA and all that. Now, I've reviewed all types of monitors, 180Hz, 240Hz, 165Hz, and that goes for 1080p, 1440p, TN and or IPS. Now, the monitor that I feel that really competes with this monitor like for like is the Acer PG248Q. That has a 1080p 180Hz TN panel, essentially identical to the Acer Predator. That monitor can be found for £400, so given the fact that this monitor is slightly cheaper at £365, let's see how it compares. I would like to confirm something. It does run 180Hz overclocked. When I say overclocked, it is factory overclocked, and yes, UFO frame skipping sometimes does that, but yeah, it does run 180Hz factory overclock, so it comes within the OSD, and you just enable the option and then it runs 180Hz. There was no frame skipping that occurs either, which is fantastic. Now, I want to quickly talk about the build quality as well. Now, the monitor looks fantastic. At least that's my personal opinion. Some people won't like this red stand because it does kind of stand out. It does look like a Predator, so to speak, and I can see why Acer have included it. But I know some people don't like this red design on a gaming monitor. They just prefer all black design. Nevertheless, that's what you're given, so it's for you to decide if you like it or not. You can always replace the monitor stand if you so wish with a compatible VESA stand. Now, the monitor has relatively large bezels. They're relatively chunky. I wasn't a massive fan of them because I've come across quite nice gaming three-sided borderless monitors from Acer themselves with the XF270HUA, and I think that monitor just looked fantastic, and it's just a shame that this monitor doesn't use the same sort of design. Nevertheless, this is what you're given. Now, the monitor, the bezels are relatively thin, but they are chunky, so they do take away from the image. Now, the monitor stand itself allows a height adjustment, tilt adjustment, and full pivot and rotation, which is great because you can use it in all sorts of situations. Now, let's talk about the features that you get with this monitor. So, as I said before, you've got NVIDIA G-Sync, and also you've got ULMB, which is something I didn't mention, and you also do have NVIDIA 3D Vision. Now, if you're an AMD user, you might realize, well, what's all the point of this? Well, you're not going to benefit from them, unfortunately, so if you're an AMD user, this monitor might not be ideal for you because it's got all those sort of features. But still, I'm going to get into those in my gaming section in just a bit. Before doing that, I want to go into the OSD. Now, within the OSD, you've got brightness adjustments, which I've got on 90. I feel the monitor is bright enough. It could be a little bit brighter for those who are going to be using in bright sunlight conditions, but nevertheless, it's bright enough for me, and I usually have quite a bright room, or like gaming during the day. I know, what else do you do better with your day? Now, it's got Acer color management, which has predefined colors. Then you've got blue light, dark boost, and adaptive contrast, which I've all gotten off. Now, in terms of the color reproduction, it's actually very nice. I've got it on user, but within user I've got it on 50-50-50 because out the box it actually looks amazing. Saturation on 106 axis color as well was all on default. You can go through the different modes if you so wish. The OSD as well, you've got aim point, which you can enable, and you can enable a refresh rate number, which will come up as an overlay on top of your games or your programs or whatnot. Now, the most interesting section is actually the settings menu. First of all, you've got overdrive, which I'll get into in just a bit. I know there's a lot that I'm just going to get into just a bit, but then there's the overclock option. Now, the overclock option you have to enable, and then enable the overclock you'd want. So over here, I've got it on max, which is 180Hz, apply and reboot, and then the monitor will then have the option to run at 180Hz. Now, in terms of the overclock itself, you can run that at the same time as NVIDIA G-Sync, so you can have 180Hz with NVIDIA G-Sync enabled as well. I did find the results to be a little bit mixed, but nevertheless, you can use that through the option, which is great. Then if you want to enable ULMB, what you're going to have to do is set the monitor to 120 Hz, disable G-Sync, and then the ULMB option will become enabled. I must say on this monitor, ULMB works actually really good, and I must say Acer have done a fantastic job. Now, just before I go into the other sections, I do want to also talk about the NVIDIA control panel. Just to show you, I've got it set to 180 Hz through the NVIDIA control panel, and for the sake of this video, because I'm using it for like an esports type thing, I have disabled G-Sync. If you're going to be using it for Counter-Strike or some sort of similar type of game, a fast FPS game, then I'd suggest having G-Sync disabled. That's simply because you get a better response and a lower input lag. At least that's from my own experiences. You can enable or disable it as you wish, as it will be your monitor if you were to purchase it. So I'm just giving you my own experiences. Now, in terms of the panel quality, it is actually really impressive. Now, given the monitor is a TN panel, I wasn't expecting the world from it. When I first turned it on, like literally, I couldn't see anything. But that's because the settings had been fiddled around with, and I reset it and set it to the settings that I showed you over here, and then suddenly the monitor looked a lot better. In terms of its contrast ratio, it's actually quite impressive. It's not going to be as high as an IPS or VA panel, but nevertheless, for a TN panel, as far as TN panels go, its contrast ratio is actually impressive. In terms of its color accuracy, you've got actually a really nice range. Colors actually are quite bright, vibrant, and they're not overly saturated or washed out. Unlike the Asus monitor that I previously reviewed, I felt the colors were washed out, almost like they had a white film in front of them. This is not the case with this Acer monitor, and I must say that they've done a great job overall. So if you're going to be looking at movies, or you're going to be wanting to play games that are quite graphically intense and you want to look at the scenery, then this monitor will be absolutely perfect for that. There's no sort of issues in that respect. Now, let's talk about its gaming performance. So I've got Counter-Strike running right now. Let's just see if it tabs open. But my experiences with Counter-Strike were very positive. Now, if I'm playing a game like Counter-Strike, what you want to do is have your monitor set to 180 Hz. You want to have the ULMB disabled. You want to have a G-Sync disabled. And then you want to have overdrive on extreme. The reason I say all these settings is because if you're a competitive gamer, you want the fastest response time and the lowest sort of input lag, and you want the monitor just to work as you would expect for kind of like an esports-esque monitor. And with all those settings, I must say that this monitor is up there with some of the best monitors on the market. It is absolutely responsive, it feels great, and the input lag is very low. In terms of ghosting goes, on extreme mode there's a slight amount of overshoot ghosting that occurs. It might not be, you might not be able to see it on this monitor, but on the camera, sorry, looking at the monitor, but it is slightly present. So do bear that in mind if you're going to be using it for like looking at loads of like trees or whatnot. You're going to be playing a game like Fortnite or something like that, then you're going to notice it. In those type of games, which in my opinion are more casual games, or if you're playing like Battlefield or something like that, or even like an RTS game, or a game that's like a strategy-based game, like Hearthstone, or I don't know, Dota 2 or League of Legends. Of course, they're competitive games, but they don't require the same sort of a response time as an FPS game like Counter-Strike will do. In that respect, I would suggest going on 144 Hz. I would suggest going on NVIDIA G-Sync enabled, and then I would suggest putting overdrive to normal, not off, but normal. There, you'd get kind of like a good blend of a fast response time, and yet a monitor that looks absolutely fantastic, which doesn't tear any frames, and also in terms of its gamma being perfect. Now the reason I mentioned gamma over here is because at 180 Hz you've got a very slight gamma shift. It might not be noticeable for those who are not trained, but having reviewed over 100 different monitors, I can see there's a slight gamma shift at 180 Hz. So that might be something that you might notice. If you don't notice it, then by all means use the monitor at 180 Hz with G-Sync enabled. So overall for gaming, yes, it's great for casual gaming, and it's absolutely fantastic for competitive gaming. I had no problems playing Counter-Strike, and in all honesty, it's among the top gaming monitors that I've come across in terms of its overall performance. So now, would I recommend this monitor? In all honesty, there's nothing that tells me that I shouldn't. Okay, it's a 365 pound 1080p monitor. But for that, you've got NVIDIA G-Sync enabled, you've got a TN panel which actually looks great, it's not washed out in any way, and its color reproduction is very impressive. You've got NVIDIA 3D Vision if you want to use it as well. I know you can use that with other monitors as well with NVIDIA graphics card. You've got 180 Hz to play around with as well. Again, you don't have to use it if you don't want. And then you've got a low input lag monitor and also a monitor that has a great response time. So overall, you've got the complete package. If you're looking for an esports type monitor, then this is it. Of course, if you're not bothered about 180 Hz or not bothered about NVIDIA G-Sync, then you can find cheaper alternatives. But still, this monitor is fantastic. So I can definitely recommend it. So if you guys are interested, make sure you check in the link in the description below. But by all means, let me know in the comments below if you've got other suggestions. Give me a like, comment, subscribe, as it always helps the channel grow. Alright guys, I've been Totally Dubbed. Take care and bye bye.